What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another video, and welcome to your stimulus package update and daily news report for Friday, February 18th. We got some stuff that we need to discuss in today's video. First, I want to give you a little bit of an update on the stimulus package, what we're seeing there, because right now we got the Biden administration pushing and trying to drum up support for the bill, but at the same time, many are saying, is this really what we need? So, while President Biden is pushing this stimulus bill, I want to address what others are asking and what they are saying. Also, one thing I can tell you right now is that we are going through some high level of uncertainty. Okay, times of high levels of uncertainty, and right now I get this question asked all the time: is what should we do? Should we be saving money? Should I look to buy a home or sell a home? Should I be investing in the stock market? Should I change jobs? Here's what I can tell you. Right now, the best thing that you can do, the best thing, is to continue working, to make more money, okay? Save as much as you possibly can, all right? And pay down debt. 3 things. Work, save, pay down debt. You notice how I didn't put invest in there yet. Okay, here's the reason why. And I get this asked all the time. Save money, or work to save money, but pay down debt. Because if you can pay down debt in a time when we're seeing high inflation and the markets continue to sell off, here's what I can tell you. Paying off debt is going to have a greater return. In almost all cases, if you pay down debt, for example, a credit card, you would actually come out ahead, in a year or 2 years. So, I'd recommend you do that. But let's get into the update for today. And I want to bring you this update because, again, high levels of uncertainty. Here's what we know. President Biden, he's actually going to be taking his time to go around the country and talk about his Build Back Better Act. He's attempting to drum up support from voters who could ultimately really pressure their state lawmakers. Now, will we see this? Will voters push lawmakers to pass the Build Back Better Act? I doubt it, but that's what President Biden's doing. Now, according to reports, there's not much that's going to happen from this. The real reason is to get voters to look at the fact that Democrats were trying to get this through. This is what was in the bill, right? We're going to get all these things in there. Well, here's the thing. Experts believe that the Biden administration must do more of this, okay? Of going out trying to drum up support in order to get support for a bill before the midterm elections. But here's the problem. Many Democrats are accepting of the fact that they have to get something passed. It doesn't matter what it is. And without even the smallest win, their chances of hanging on to control of the House and the Senate are very thin. But why is President Biden out there trying to drum up support for a plan that has no bill? Why is he talking about a plan that has been deemed dead for months? And why would he be pushing a plan that many say would only increase inflation? Well, here's what I can tell you. We've looked over, many of the provisions within the bill, and does the Build Back Better Act and does increased spending, does this cause more inflation? Here's what I can tell you. First, earlier this week, we learned that peak inflation is estimated to be at about 9.7%. We are currently at 7.5%, which means we are expected to go up another 2.2%. The expectation is that this is going to continue to increase over the next several months before it could finally start to fall. Again, and I said this last week, I said this a few weeks ago as well, my expectation is we are going to get close to 10%. We will be very close to 10% before inflation levels off and it could level off over the course of months, and then we see it fall. But again, this isn't going to happen quickly, at least according to many experts. Now, I don't think it's going to happen. I'm not an expert, but I don't anticipate this happening. Now, does Democrats plan to pass the Build Back Better Act? Does this cause additional inflation? Well, the answer is yes and no. It really depends on what's passed. Parts of this bill could ultimately cause additional inflation. For instance, let me just give you a couple of ideas here. If we, one of the things that's been discussed recently is, what if we cut the federal gas tax and we save Americans 18 cents a gallon on gas? Well, according to experts, that would actually increase inflation because this would actually cause more people to run to the pumps to buy gas and go travel and do these other things, right? But it would slowly bring down food because, food has to be transported to the warehouses and the stores and retail items. They're going to come down a little bit because, shipping's cheaper, but it's not going to be excessive. It's not going to be a huge amount, but more people are going to go to the pumps because, I can now afford to go buy gas. It came down 18 cents, so it's cheaper. I'm going to buy it now. Well, by buying now, it's actually going to cause inflation to go up. Let's look at another thing. What about canceling student debt? What we're hearing is by canceling student debt is pretty much the same thing as getting rid of the gas tax, as it would not allow, it would actually allow borrowers to spend the money that they weren't spending on their loans, right, to pay them back. This would actually cause them to go and spend that money on other things. But if we were to invest and to pass a bill that was to create more chips, right, because the chip shortage that we're seeing, well, this would ultimately reduce inflation over the long term. But the problem here, it's slow moving. And so that's something that we can't see. Democrats, yes, even though I think all lawmakers would understand, yes, we need to reduce inflation. Democrats are looking at this as, okay, well, we need to reduce inflation, but at the same time, we can't do something that's so slow moving that it wouldn't actually impact us during the midterm elections. Which again, comes back to the elections. It's going to be more of a political game. And the child tax credits. Let's look at these for a second. These were very popular, but reports indicate that what they did, and they helped contribute to higher inflation a little bit in things like food and retail spending. But here's what you need to understand is, yes, they contributed to inflation, but at the same time, they kept kids out of poverty. Now, Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, she recently criticized Senator Joe Manchin over his role of pretty much nuking the extension of the child tax credit payments. And just yesterday, we got a report that stated an additional 3.7 million kids fell back into poverty after the tax credits expired in the middle of December. Now, this will likely mean that more kids fall back into poverty over the next few months as well. But the key here is how much of a difference, how many more kids have to fall back into poverty before something like this is considered essential or vital. We don't know. But we do know two groups of kids were the most impacted. We know that Latinos and Black children experienced the largest increase in poverty. Latino children, the poverty rate increased by 7.1%, and for Black children, it rose by 5.9%. So it's interesting. Now, it's not looking likely that we're going to see the federal government, jump in and rescue people and help, children and families. I don't see an additional child tax credit payment in their next bill. Okay, I just don't. Now, this is why I've been talking about states and how states are giving their residents more assistance. States are actually taking it upon themselves to do this. Yesterday, I told you guys how multiple states were offering child tax credit refunds to the residents. And these are states like, California, I think Idaho, Colorado, Maine, right? There's many other states included in that list, but those are just a handful of them. Now, what we know is that with the surplus of cash that states have, they're still attempting to pass legislation to send out money to their residents. For instance, Oregon Democrats just this week actually reintroduced a bill to send $600 checks to more than 250,000 residents. And these checks would actually go directly to bank accounts of any resident that filed for the Earned Income Tax Credit back in 2020. So even if you don't live in Oregon, and I know a lot of people don't, even if you don't live in Oregon, more and more states are trying to, or at least attempting to pass legislation to send checks and additional assistance out to their residents. But remember, we have to be patient because, and this is very difficult, it comes down to how much money does the state have as a surplus? Where are they seeing the biggest return on investment? And a lot of it's going to be lower income families and families with children. That's going to be where it's at. And it's unfortunate that people that don't have children, they're not part of a family, right? You know, people on Social Security, fixed income, you're going to be hit the hardest because we're going to see money roll out into these states. But at the same time, if you don't get it, then you could actually be negatively impacted by inflation. So right now, there's a lot of stuff going on, but I just wanted to fill you in on kind of what we're seeing. But lastly, let's talk about what's going on in Russia and Ukraine. Because according to the recent reports, they are now indicating that more than 190,000 Russian troops are lining the borders. This is almost double what was there just about 4 days ago. And this is about 40,000 more than they were reporting yesterday, because they were reporting only 150,000. We also got reports that just a short while ago that people in Ukraine were hearing loud sirens, which is a warning signal. Also, a separatist leader in Ukraine announced mass evacuations amid fears of a plan to trigger an invasion. What they are saying is they could see that Russia is pretty much just toying with Ukraine, lining the border. And here's what could happen. We could see Ukraine try to get Russia to invade, right? Try to trigger this invasion, but do it on their time. Do it when Ukraine is ready. Ukraine wants them to invade. Okay? So all across the news, we're seeing so many different reports. We're seeing, I've seen pictures of just buses lining the streets trying to evacuate people. I've seen, pictures of the Russian border and the troops and the military equipment, and it's somewhat scary. So as we get more information there, I promise I will fill you in on everything that's going on. But as of right now, that's what we know. There's still a big push for stimulus here in the U.S. I don't see us getting the support that we need, mainly in the Senate. But again, will President Biden's push to go around and talk in specific states, will this actually help drum up support from that state's senator? It might, so we'll see. But as soon as I know more, I promise I'll come back on and share all the latest news and updates. Just want to thank you guys for watching. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.